I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Could I get a roll call, please?
Here.
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 And Marion Singer and Marcus.
He's excused. All right, if everyone can stand for pledge, please.
She's here and comes over, so.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Some approval of some minutes. It's just one set.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the December 4th, 2025 school board meeting.
I have a motion by Shauna. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Second by Jack. Do we have any discussion, any amendments that need to be made? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. So one abstention. Moving on, we got some student, staff, family share finally.
You do.
All right.
Okay, so Justin asked me to do this. J'ai l'honneur de vous présenter Madame Kathleen McGurk, qui est prof de français au collège de Timberlane, qui est ici et va vous présenter un sommaire du voyage à Montréal avec ses deux étudiants qui sont lycéens. As a former French teacher, he asked me to present her.
I understood exactly what you
So, and I told her I was going to say he made me do
Show
it. It's been a long time since I was in the classroom. So,
Well done.
Kathleen McGurk, who is our French teacher at the middle school, is here with two of her students to talk to us about their trip to Montreal, which is a trip I formerly chaperoned when I was a teacher.
Awesome.
So, really excited to hear about this. So,
Madame Reynolds.
with Madame Reynolds, yes,
I talked to her last night, by the way.
yes.
So, should the guys come up?
Yes, come on up. We'll get
Yes,
another chair
please.
for you.
Yes.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, we'll put. Mom in
So I'd just like to briefly share the educational impact of our trip to Canada. The purpose of the trip was to give students a really authentic exposure to French language and Francophone culture. It's very difficult to replicate that in the classroom, obviously. And during the trip, the French students ordered their meals. They had to ask for directions and interact with the guides. We had museum guides, and we also had our own guide, Sarah Cole, who is Patty Cole's daughter, who was Sarah Cole was a former Timberlane student. She's about 28, 29 now. And then these experiences, when they came back, they just felt more enthusiastic about being in the class, and they wanted to kind of share what they were able to do in in Canada, sorry.
That's okay.
And we have two young guys here. This is Jack Lacreta and Kyla Fleur, and they want to share their experiences of what they did well.
All right, so last May we took a 3-day trip to Montreal, and one of the biggest takeaways of going to the trip is when you're going to get your food, because you're going into a French-speaking culture, and it's not like they're a teacher; they're not helping you, right? So definitely in the start of it, you have to mess up, whatever. But definitely by the end of the 3 days, you're confident getting your food and
Come on, Tom, big
Yeah.
fan.
Another part that was huge, their French skills was moving around the city. Because obviously, it's Quebec, all the signs are in French. And
Oh, they did
it's
both.
in Quebec.
Did-
Surprise.
Did you do? Yeah.
We did. We went on the Quebec trip as well as the Montreal trip. But in Montreal City, all the street signs are in they're in French. So the maps that they gave us were also in French. So our guide gave us the maps and told us to navigate the city with us leading.
Leading
And
the whole group.
leading the whole group. And then the metro system in Montreal is also all in French. So we had to like guide where to go on the metro system, and with no help from the guide or the teacher.
Correct.
So yeah, it was huge. Like, I mean, in the classroom is like the teacher's helping you and stuff, and kind of holding your hands and correcting you when you mess up. But it's really a different experience when you go and immerse yourself into the French culture, or the French speaking culture of Montreal.
And a really cool thing that happened, and Jack doesn't know I'm going to say this, but we were walking down the street, and suddenly Jack and his good friend Heidi Farrell started bringing into a conversation in French. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Honestly, from that point on, even till now, sometimes we'll just start speaking to each other in French just because it's fun and it's what we picked up in Montreal.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Does anybody have
Do you
any
have any questions
questions
for
that they
us?
want to ask? Jack and then Marion.
First of all, I'm really glad both of you acknowledge that your teachers help you in school. It's really cool. Secondly, sounds like you had a great experience, so good for you. And thanks for not doing this in French because that would have been lost. Have a great holiday. And I gotta ask, you guys aren't in middle school, are you?
No, we're
Well, they're
seniors in high school.
seniors.
Okay, because I knew you were down at the,
Yeah.
okay.
But you know what, Jack?
Big
They're
middle
missing their
schoolers.
Milkman performance to come here so they're gonna hop out real quick. They're in the Milkman performance as we speak. So they gave that up to be here to talk.
Thank you so much.
Oh, of course.
So LaFleur, you must have been a celebrity in Montreal, right?
Unfortunately.
Very good. Any other questions?
Yeah, Marianne has
Two
something.
questions.
Sure.
The first is, did you ever order any food that what you got wasn't what you were thinking you were ordering?
Oh, that's a
Um,
good question.
I don't think that ever happens.
Yeah, pictures definitely help on the menu. No, maybe a drink or something. Yeah.
I had a difficult situation in Italy when I ordered something I thought was pasta and it was not. And the other question is, how similar or different are Parisian, like French and Canadian French? And which are you learning, and did you
Okay,
notice
so
anything?
we are learning we're learning French, okay, but we actually focus on we compare cultures. We compare Canadian culture and a lot of the African countries, most of the countries in the world, sorry, let me rephrase that. Of all the continents, Africa has the most French-speaking countries. And so we focus a little bit on there. In fact, we had a visitor, I don't know if you know about this, we one of our teachers, her sister is married to her brother-in-law is from Mauritania in Africa. So he came to my classroom and he did a presentation on the Mauritania culture and the clothing, and it was just unbelievable. It was just such a great experience. So, but we talked about Europe, and we talk a little bit about it wasn't China was French for a while and so on, but we actually have a brand new program called Lingo. I don't know if you know about that. It's a great program. Authentic speakers from around the world, many cultures, not just France, are able to, they're making small videos and the kids can listen to the videos and they can hear the different dialect. But it's they're learning through the Lingo and through me, but exposed to many cultures.
Great. I was just wondering if this experience made you more comfortable to maybe try to travel to France one day?
I started school in France. So I was there when I was very, very young and lived there for 3 years with my family. And I'm actually more curious to explore Canada, to be honest with you. Yeah. I mean, I think Europe is great, but I think we have right next to us a really great country to explore, and it's so close. It's 5 hours away.
And what about the students?
What about you guys?
Oh yeah, 100%. Just the basic stuff, like we said, ordering food, looking at maps, road signs, getting around would definitely make a big difference if we actually went to France.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, pretty much said it all, but France would be cool too, I'm not gonna lie.
That's awesome.
All right, well, thank you guys so much. I'm glad you had such a good time on your trip. Bye. Any delegates or individuals in the? All right, should I get a motion to move the 30 minutes delegates individuals to the end of the meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Shauna, do we have a second? Second by Bree. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained, unanimous. All right, cool. And then do we have a student reps tonight? No?
Cameron is also over at the Milkman, but I
Alright.
did want on his behalf to say two quick things. The district is up and running with sports and concerts. They're happening pretty much every night across the district, so we're hoping people are getting to those and enjoying community. And also a quick update about Mealy's Meals next Tuesday. I was gonna have a send-off. It's gonna take place at the high school. It's gonna include 3 activities for students. It's gonna have a quiet area with games and coloring, a ticketed milkman show, and the ticketed staff versus faculty basketball game. All proceeds from those events are going forward to providing food for those in need within our local community. And in addition, the raffle baskets were sold to support Mealy's Meals, and the winners have already been selected. So just want to continue to recognize that work across the community here in Timberlane.
Very good. All right, moving on to our current business. We have the second read for the TRHS Program of Studies revisions. Good evening, Mr. President.
Evening.
I'm assuming nothing's changed from the last time you were here.
Correct, just some minor mistakes that we caught and we fixed, but they don't change the scope of what is in the program of studies.
Okay. Does
When
any?
did you invite Mary Ann over and she?
I did a gratitude to Mary Ann, who is, I'm going to hire her next year to help with all this, but yes, there was just a cut and paste error that Mary Ann discovered, and it doesn't change the scope of what we are doing.
Does anybody have any further questions or comments about this program of studies? Bree, go ahead.
I know there was discussion in the budgeted meetings about potential for unassigned positions to be removed. Would that affect what courses we can offer?
What do you mean by unassigned? Like,
I don't know how to word this. There was discussion in the
Open and vacant
open
positions.
vacant positions, yes.
so, there's as of right now,
These can be staffed.
these could be staffed, but every year it's always a matter of, when we get the course enrollment, when we get the course signups, we look at,
Then we
you know,
readjust.
that we readdress like how are we doing what we're doing with the staff that we have. Looking at if there's X number of kids that are requesting a certain class, but that's an elective, we might say we're not going to run that because we have more kids that we need to do this. That's a graduation requirement. So every year when we do course enrollments and course signups, it's always, I don't want to say it's a game, but it's always kind of like a puzzle to figure out how are we going to, with the staff that we have, run the courses that students are requesting. And we just have to, every year we make decisions about courses that we're just not going to run because of either low enrollment or low signups, or that's a pure elective and we have to run these other ones that are graduation requirements. And with the new ED 306s that are coming for the class of 2030, it's definitely going to impact all of that with some new graduation requirements. So we'll just have to see what happens when course signups occur this spring.
They occur in the spring.
Well, they start in the winter. As soon as we get back from break, we're starting the conversations with middle school students, with 8th grade rising 9th graders, as well as the current 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. We actually start that January, February.
Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions about the program of studies? All right, someone want to make a motion to accept it?
A motion to approve second reading and adoption of the revisions for the programs of study for, the classes of 26, 27, 28, 29, and the program of study for a class of 2030 and beyond.
A motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Second by Dawn, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained, okay. Are you doing the enrollment?
I'm doing the next 3.
You do the next 3? Okay, all right, go for it, keep going.
So the next one was, I believe, the NESDEC.
It is.
So when I came to you in the November, that first board meeting in November about the NESDEC report, I believe that it was Mark Sherwood, that asked a couple of questions, and this is just following up to that. The first one was regarding the methodology that NESDEC used, and there was a question specifically around, houses being built. Everything that I can see is that NESDEC doesn't actually take into account like new buildings being built or new houses being built.
Okay.
They use a modified cohort component survival technique, which is
that?
about.
What is that?
It's
It's like reading a spec on an HVAC.
kind of like that.
Okay.
So it takes like fertility rates and death rates and
Whole bunch of things, plugs it in, and this is the
plugs it
method.
in, and they don't. Everything that I can tell is they do not use like homes being built
Like new construction.
or new construction as anywhere in their
Metric.
formula.
Okay.
So like, I guess that's the short answer to, I believe, what Mark was asking. The second question that Mark asked at that was, he was just asking about like a specific to Sandown
Sandown, yeah.
blip. Digging into just the Sandown details, there's a, what did I see? There's a 1.5, which equals 13 students increase between 2031 and 32. And a 0.2, which is a 2 student total increase in 32, 33. And that's for all of K-12 enrollment. So it's really just when you spread that out over all the grades, it's not really a blip. So short answer is I didn't see a blip in that data.
All right.
So
Thank
I wanted to bring those questions that the board asked
No,
last
that
time
was-
back to you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Jack's got a question, but then.
Yeah,
everybody else.
around budgeting, because you always hear this. For the next 3 or 4 years, what's the anticipated growth or reduction in? And if you don't have that sitting right, I know you gave it to us.
It was in the
in the
last one. I
previous-
don't have that in front of me.
Okay. Just because I hear this all the time out in the.
From what I can recall, it was not a significant decrease. It was,
It was
I mean,
like-
I'm the data that I've been seeing across the district for the past couple of years that I've been presenting the NASDAQ data is, it's fairly, I don't want to say stagnant, but it's fairly flat. It's not a significant decline, which means in my mind, it's hard to say that like, over just a year or two or even 3, that there's not enough of a decrease to warrant, say at the high school level especially, decreasing staffing. Over like a 10-year period, there's probably enough, but like just in a 2-3 year period, there's not enough kids declining enrollment.
Do I remember this correctly? 5 students a year for the next.
That sounds about right. It was not a significant number. It was
Because when people are engaging us in the budget, they talk about increases or decreases in student enrollment, and that's, I think, an important factor to make sure we're accurate in what we're saying. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, that's it for those NESDECs. Next, I believe we have some overnight travel requests.
overnight travel. So there are 2 in front of you in your packet.
Okay?
I believe the first one in your packet is the Germany trip?
Yes,
Okay.
Berlin to Munich.
So this is a semi-annual or biannual. I believe it's every 2
Every other
years.
year.
Every other year. So students from Germany come to us, and then the following year, we have Timberlane students go to Germany. This trip has been running for years. Even after we lost the German program as having, German as a world language in our schools, we kept this trip going just because of the cultural and the historical and the significance of this trip. So I'm just requesting that we get approval for this trip. The details of the trip should be in your packet.
Yep.
It is June 13th through July 6th. It is leaving after, I believe that's the tentative graduation date. I believe it's leaving that evening, so it should not impact graduation, even though we're not taking any seniors. It's just if family members, kids in the the graduation band, things like that. It should not impact those students. There's 2 chaperones. It's Steve Rugletti, who's been doing this for years. And I believe it is Tucker Jennison is the other chaperone who Steve is kind of training to be like that next generation to take over this trip.
So I'm assuming that the cost is like all on the students and everything are paying for it. Do you all do fundraising to help with this?
I don't know any specifics if they are doing fundraising.
Okay.
I know that a lot of trips do fundraising, but I
Right.
don't wanna speak, I don't wanna
Yeah, no,
misspeak
it's
if
fine.
this trip is not, but yes, that the cost is primarily
Okay.
on those. But I mean, for a lot of the trip, they are staying with host families,
Right, yeah.
so it reduces the cost in that regard.
Anybody have any questions for this trip?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the trip.
All right. Jack made the motion to approve the TRHS Cultural Exchange Program's overnight trip request from June 13th to July 6th, 2026 to visit Eastern Germany and Central Austria. Do we have a second? Marianne seconded. Any other discussion on this trip?
So this comes to us for approval because it's overnight travel.
Correct.
And they miss a day of school, right?
They would not be it's more the overnight travel piece. Yes.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstaining unanimous. All right, and then we have a second trip.
The second trip is students to Quebec City.
Hey.
So the middle school and the high school world language departments pair together. It's 8th grade students and it's 10th grade students that are going to Quebec City this year, May 15th through May 17th. Very similar to the trip details that you just heard about.
It seems like it is very well enjoyed.
Yes.
Any questions for this trip?
Make a motion to approve the Timberlane Middle School, High School World Language Department overnight trip for May 15th through 17th, 2026 to Quebec City, Canada.
Quebec, excuse me. A motion
you.
by Shauna,
Oui,
do we have
oui.
a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alyssa. Any other discussion on this? All right, all those in favor?
And
Oh.
sorry, can I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead and ask a question, then we'll vote.
Again, this is funded by the students, not by the district, right?
Correct.
Anybody else? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained, unanimous.
Bon
Sorry,
voyage.
Marianne. All right, are you also doing the health
I am.
curriculum? All right, let's just keep moving along.
So you have in your packet the executive summary of the PE health curriculum revisions. The majority of these revisions really stem from new standards, and those standards were adopted, and I can get the exact on the school board of June 19th, 2025, when the board voted to approve academic standards. And so those standards were approved. And so really it's updating those curriculum documents with those standards. So it's the newest versions of the Shape America standards. And so these curriculum documents, the majority of the work was done to just sort of change over the curriculum standards from the old standards to the new Shape America standards. There are some other changes to some middle school health, sexual units, some alcohol, so going from alcohol, tobacco, and drugs to just alcohol and drugs units, but really just the language in there to align with those Shape America standards.
And when those subjects are being brought up in those classes, I'm assuming families are notified, and if they want to opt out that they can.
Yep.
Okay.
So there is the policies IGE and policy AB that provides those parents those opt-outs. Those teachers do, per those policies, inform families that is the nature of the class and what those content pieces are, and those parents who have the ability to opt out. Yes.
Any other questions for this?
So I believe this, excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I believe that this is just the first read.
Yes.
It's like all of our curriculum, it's been through curriculum and assessment committee twice. It's been through the teachers, it's been through administrators, it's been through curriculum and assessment twice. So tonight, this is just a first read. And I will be back to answer any questions for a second read.
Again, like what Mark stated, this is a first read. It's been through some pretty good rigor. Does anybody have any questions about this at this time? All right, someone want to make a motion to accept this for a first read?
Make a motion to accept the K through 12 health curriculum for a first read.
All right, motion by Shauna. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mary Ann. She was quick on the draw. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstained, unanimous. All right, are you done?
I am done.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
All right, next is budget to actual report. Yep.
I'll ask Maria to walk through the dashboard
Yep,
as we
that's
would
good.
do. This will be the third time this season. And then I'd like to speak a little bit about to the budget calendar, some assumptions about the projected expense, a couple of things we're seeing now, and then educating the board about things we've done and are currently doing with regard to where we're projecting currently. Thanks, Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are
you? So for the dashboard this month, as you can see, starting up top on the left, so far our revenue is very light compared to prior year. We have only received 85% compared to last year. But if you can see, expenses are a little slightly higher than last year. So this is why we started reporting the cash as well, because it is a lot lower than last year. Compared to the November, to what we received in revenue in November of last year, we're only at 13% of what we received in November of last year. Compared to budget in the middle section, we are at 37% of the expected revenue, and we are at 33% of the expected expenses. The revenue that we have received so far, 83.7% has come from taxpayers, 13.7% has come from the state and federal, and 2.5% has come from other sources. For the actual expenses of 27.5 million, 73% of that has been incurred for personal expenses, and 26% has been incurred for operating expenses. For the projection for the year at the bottom, as Mr. Krieger said, we actually only have 2.5 full months in the year, so it's very hard to project the entire year based on those 2.5 months. So we are expecting that by February we will have a much better projection, but so far we are expecting 84.5 million, with 2 of those million being for special education professional service, contracted services. And then at the bottom, we have about 3,200 students, 595 employees, and we still have 65 special education contractors.
If I could just take the moment and just talk about the calendar, just the fiscal year for a second, right? So just start with the number 12, that's the number of months, right, in our fiscal calendar. 2 of those, I just ask you to remove, right? So July and August they're not payroll months for us, they're slow. So that kind of, I think about it as 10. So you've got 5 and 5 for the halfway point. So 5 and 5 puts you the halfway point directly at February 1st. So as Maria's pointing out, we're really looking forward to seeing what the actuals are coming in for December and January. But the other thing I wanted to point out is that even though we've been through what we've been through so far, these 3 operational months with payroll, of those 3, 2 are also fairly depressed months. September is typically traditionally a slower month in terms of the number of invoices that are coming through and getting processed at the beginning of the year. In November, just the number of days that we have school in the month is also a depressed month. So just being mindful about where we are in the calendar, that it is early, but we are monitoring it day to day. Some other things I like to build is that we have some assumptions that are built in here. This is assuming that we are going to fill every position and pay for every position in the budget. It's also assuming that we're going to expend everything that's in the operating budget. Historically, those things have never happened in Timberlane or most other school districts. The longer you go in the year, the better idea you've got in terms of what that's actually going to look like toward the end of the year. 4 things that we can see really clearly right now. As we're looking at staffing and where the salary number is there, we're projecting most likely some salary in those lines because we have positions that are not filled and that we're deciding not to fill moving forward. In the capital line, right, the board encumbered some projects and brought some things over from last year that we've moved on. We are moving in the direction of all the capital projects right now, but we're going to be holding on any large expenses there, because we're seeing that $1.4 million there is something that we may need to help support other areas of the operating budget as we're moving forward. On the overspending side, or the side where we are concerned about, there's 2 primary areas. The first is health insurance. The budget when we proposed was $11.4 million. That was reduced through the budget committee and by the voting public. We are going to estimate that we're going to have an overspend of about $2.7 million there. And there's some explanation for why. We have 30% of our staff, if you recall, last year, we exited a plan that didn't exist anymore, and they needed to re-opt into plans. So we had the unknown of where they were going to go and what they were going to select. They've since made those decisions since we calculated this, and this is what's in front of us at this point. In addition to that, we also went through a period of open enrollment like we do every year, where people have the ability to opt into things that they've not opted into before. I want to remind the board, when we budget for health insurance, we are running a roster in October, right? So the roster for this one was October of 24, and it's going to change through open enrollment. It's going to have a significant change this past time with 30% of our memberships opting for different plans because of the expiration of one of those plans. Maria alluded to the special education side. We are anticipating that we're going to overspend in contracted services. I think that's really apparent and has been really transparent to the public and the board, particularly through the budget process. We were mapping out that we're currently contracting for more positions than what's in the personnel budget, therefore demonstrating the needs our kids have in front of us. Those are the four things we can see pretty clearly right now. There is a fifth thing that we can see, it's just not as clear, and that's other needs in special education that may come up this year. Right now, I'm tracking 3 students that may return from what's called an episode of treatment, which means that they have a mental health need that was in the community, and they're going to be transitioning back to the community, and we are unaware or unsure right now about what our liability or obligation is for the education portion of that transfer back. So we're monitoring 3 right now. We have 2 students in our district right now that we're beginning conversations about placement and whether the Timberlane Regional School District can meet their needs. And we're going to be tracking those students through those processes. We've got 2 students that are in current out-of-district placements right now. They're at the low-cost end of those placements that we're getting feedback from those placements that they may need something more significant from us. So we're going to need to be evaluating those 2 placements as well. And then we've got 2 more students that we're considering potentially bringing back from out-of-district. So that's the opposite way. So those are the special education pieces that are much more unknown than the 4 things I laid out for you. What are the things that we've done and what are we doing right now? We had conversations with this board. We invited groups of people in at the very beginning of the year when we highlighted this and walked people through cash flow. If you did not come to those meetings, please reach to Marie and I. We'll schedule more time because I think it's germane to what we're talking about here. Other things that we've done is that we've talked as a full administrative team. So every administrator in the district that's got their finger on a spending button has this knowledge, this idea. We're talking as a team about where we're projecting and what that means for them in terms of what they're approving or not. We've also asked them to encumber the needs maybe more quickly than they were this year. This allows Maria and I to see those real numbers in the reports we're running, and it just allows us to be more accurate with the large projections we're making. Again, you can see from December to June here, all the numbers in green are projections, right? Not actual numbers. Other things we've done is that we've decided not to hire some positions that are open and vacant right now. We're going to hold on those. I alluded to before, we're holding on some of the major capital projects for this year. We are going to be reviewing revenue and tracking that as it comes in, possibly expecting more than we're expecting. And the other thing that we can leverage revenue is looking at the grants and the timing of those and perhaps expending those out more quickly and not bringing them or carrying them into some future years as we've been able to do in the past. And lastly, we're just kind of tracking the operating budget. If there's going to be more savings, that's where it's going to be coming from most likely. And when we get to that February point, we will still have halfway of the year to make any necessary adjustments in order to finish the school year under the voted budget.
Right, so everything, because we cannot expend more than what was authorized. So this is all the stuff you're doing to make sure.
To keep that, and let's say that some of those things in the special education gray area come out. And those are things that could not obviously have been anticipated a year and a half ago. There are avenues and mechanisms that we would need to talk to the board about as a district. Those would be different expenses because they're required. There's some things that are non-required, right? And they live in the operating budget that we're paying sexually close attention to.
Anybody have any questions? Jack and then Paul.
I'll go
Okay,
first.
Paul, sorry.
So I asked this last year and it's it's not with bad intent, but appropriation schedules, and it was light on November, so is that just part of a
Everybody's-
schedule, or is that part of being in the arrears?
No, I believe everybody, all the towns are paid up, correct, Maria?
So the end of November, so as of now, yes, as of December, 3 of the towns are paid up.
Okay, so, yeah, so it's just not showing in November, it's just,
November was a
but they're
light,
pretty much
a
on
light
schedule?
month, a light month, and I want to bring that to your attention, because we only receive $1 million in November for cash. And this is why cash reserves are so important, because as you know, our average cash disbursements for the month is about 6.5 million. So if we did not have cash reserves and we only receive $1 million on that specific month, we would not be able to make payroll, so, or any other expenses. So it is very important. This is the importance of having cash reserves and have the ability to retain.
so we should see,
reserves.
yeah, and I know that you and Justin and some other people reach out to the towns to customize that schedule somewhat for the towns, you know, how their flow is to, which is cool. So that with that kind of a outreach, we would know, say in January, if we're not up to date on town.
Right, yeah, I work with the towns and the schedule that I give them every 6 months is biannual. And I do accommodate their cash flow, so it's easier for the towns to
Yeah, so I
comply
think
with
that,
our
like you
payments.
said, cash balance and flow is important, but I'm good.
Maria, could you also remind us, you had done some work, I think, with either this group or maybe the budget committee before, that once we hit January, the expenses trigger up a little bit just because of where we are, or the revenue triggers up a little bit, where there's some heavy months coming up.
Right, so actually no, because the towns receive taxes in December. Then December and January are the months that we up their payments. And then February and March are lower because they're not receiving the cash flow. So February, March, April and May are lower than June. It's when June and July is when they start receiving their taxes again. So those are the upper months.
So the next two dashboards, we should be seeing some additional revenue uptick.
Jack and then Marion.
So thanks for that explanation. I think it's hard for the general public to hear that the forecast was that we're gonna end up $2 million short projected when we're 5 months into it. But that was a good explanation of how really those first 2.5 months really are a reflection of 1/12 of the spending.
Yeah, they're certainly not equal parts.
Right. The other thing that I took away from this was relative to special education, there's a lot of unknowns there, and it looks like that's not gonna go particularly in a direction relative to spending in which we would like, but we're required to do those things, and those are non-discretionary spending items. Could you just touch base a little bit more? You touched on capital expenditures and how we're holding back on that. Is that the whole capital line?
Yeah, not the whole mostly the CIP piece right now, Jack.
Okay.
As we've looked at it, we've encumbered some projects from last year that are now paid for and completed.
Right.
And when I say that we are holding back, it's holding back from the budgeted number that was there, for instance, for the bathrooms, versus what we're engaged in right now with those architects kind of doing that work for the bathrooms.
Okay.
And I think we need to let a month or two go by before we would recommend making any decisions to see where we're gonna be.
My fear on waiting, and I've made this correlation many times, you always want to know where you are on a project on the first or second floor, not when you get to the 12th floor of a 15-story building, right? So if I heard you right, some of the discretionary spending out of the departments, they've been put on notice that their fingers probably shouldn't even be on the button. Is that fair?
There are things that we still need in this
I-
district,
I
that's why
understand.
we're budgeted for it. What we've asked them to do is to maybe encumber those needs more quickly than they would have in a traditional school year, so we can begin to see that show in our system, so we can make accurate projections for the end of the year. So the message to people right now, Jack, and I wanna be clear because we're early, is not to not spend, but to encumber what you need now so we can really start to hone this in over the next 2 months. February 1st is a time period when we would look to make any decisions.
I'm not being argumentative about this, but it would almost be like, don't spend the money until we find out where we are, and then we'll know how much is left over to go, I'm honest to God, I'm not trying to manage, I'm not trying to be the superintendent, because we both know I can't do that. But
What I'm hearing Justin say though is these aren't like wants, these are needs that these individuals would need for supplies and stuff anyways. So it's not like they're just going out and spending. It's stuff that they are gonna need for classes or whatever. It's not, I think that's what you're trying to say, correct? Okay, yeah, Dawn,
The other
I'm
thing-
sorry, Mary Ann and then Dawn.
well, yeah.
After you're done.
Yeah, thank you. So what I would really like is, I think weekly would be too much on you, or too much on the administration, especially with you. I'd like to know those things that we're either cutting back on, or like the CIP lines, those actions that we're taking, because I'd like to see the action plan and then see almost like the flow of that action plan as time goes on, because people are very nervous about us getting to, as you alluded to, Katie, we can't go over that bottom line. And between, it was good that you identified the insurance as a potential problem and the special ed, so we know where that's coming from. And I'm reiterating that so the people watching and listening can hear that loud and clear, that those are things that are out of our control, but the things that are in our control, we will deal with, correct?
And we are.
Mary Ann?
Thank you.
Just a simple question on the cash flow report. Is adequacy aid generally a monthly? Just didn't get it in November or?
No, their payments are in September, April, January and April.
Okay,
It's usually when they disperse.
okay, so it's not a monthly thing, that just missed.
Some cash flow too. Dawn, go ahead.
Yeah, when you start thinking about each school and their expenses along the lines of supplies and materials, whether it's books or, for any department's needs with technology or anything that, they would have in their budgets to spend. A lot of that is timed in a way to be made available close to the time that's going to be used. So when you start to shut those things down, you're impacting opportunity. And it's not that much money compared to larger areas of the budget, maybe, capital improvement pieces, certainly, staffing pieces and to some degree contracted services and whatnot. So I would not look towards those types of limits for anything, say beyond $100,000 or something like that. It's going to be pretty limited impact of those types of requests of staff or buildings to stop with some real basic pieces.
Any other questions about the dashboard or budget? Mary Ann, did you have another thing you wanted?
Mary Ann, let me actually rephrase what I said. So the adequacy aid, 40% of the adequacy aid is disbursed 20% in September, 20% in November, and then the remaining 60%, 30% comes in January and 30% comes in April.
All right, so it sounds like February, you're gonna have some better projections to
Yeah,
kind of
and-
see if we need to start doing anything.
For sure, and in the
Okay.
second meeting in January, we'll have the dashboard, we'll have the actuals in December, so we'll be one kind of degree closer, and then February 1st, we'll do the same thing with the actuals from January and be 1 degree closer.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Thank you.
And I would also add, like, in the interim, right, over those 2 months, please let Maria and I know if you needed to come into the office and check in and see where we are, or dig into more detail of what we presented tonight. We would be certainly happy to do that.
I do think to Jack's point, which you did a good job laying it out, but I just think continual saying, these are the things we're doing to ensure that we don't go over, because we can only go to that. I think that just keep a running tally of what you guys are doing. This would be great. Thank you.
I have one little
Yeah, go
last
ahead.
question. This is actually a good question. Is there are there any unanticipated revenues like grants or anything like that we haven't heard about yet that may potentially be coming up to,
Tap into.
yeah,
Two of the things that I mentioned is, one, we're actually gonna be tracking the grant revenue that's coming in.
You did
and-
say
and looking
that.
for other things. But the other thing is the grants that are more locked in, Jack, like IDEA, that typically span different years. Maybe we make decisions that we're gonna leverage that more aggressively than we would in a traditional year, because we need to.
all right, thank you.
You bet.
All right, next, we have request for proposal, the student Chromebooks. Hello.
Hello.
Ken looking sharp.
I was gonna say something, but I didn't wanna It's embarrass just for the them. ninth for you guys.
Dress in. Noted.
So in your packet, you will find the Chromebook RFP. This is our yearly RFP that we put out for student Chromebooks that went out on November 12th. Way back on December 3rd. It was for 525 Chromebooks. We received 16 bids, and in your bid sheets there that you see. I do have an update. You'll notice I color coded this because we did receive 16 bids, which is great. However, we had some that did not bid what we asked for, which is a problem. So we marked the ones that quoted different products or services than what we asked for in the RFP. One came in lower than the one we're going with, and that's Mer Trading. They're highlighted in yellow. They were unresponsive. I called them to verify the price and the model, as I do with anybody we're gonna go with. They did not reply for 2 weeks. They called me this afternoon and said that they could not meet that price, and they tried to sell me an HP Chromebook. So it was the old bait and switch on that. So I immediately disqualified them as well. So they are out of it. The winning bid was from Archangel out of Miami. You see the total there. It was $249 a Chromebook. The Google license is a one-time fee we buy per Chromebook that enables us to administrate it through our Google domain. That was $31.79 per Chromebook for a grand total of $147,414.75. So I'm looking for board action approval to go with Archangel for this purchase.
And so I looked in your summary that this is are we buying 525 Chromebooks?
Correct.
Okay. Shauna, then Alyssa.
And if memory serves me correctly, this is when we're cycling out, right? So you plan for this every year in your budget. And it's when we are taking a look at new students coming in, cycling out old devices, ones that we can't refurbish, and bringing newer ones in.
Kind of, sort of. It's more, these ones are dedicated to the incoming next year's 6th and 9th graders.
That's right. That's when the transition year is.
You might be asking yourself, why are we buying them now? A couple of reasons. First off, we get better pricing this time of year when we do summer. All the other districts go out in summer for bids, and it's tough to get Chromebooks sometimes. So you have delivery issues, inventory issues. So we get better pricing, more readily available models. Also, more importantly, we're able to use them for some high stakes testing, namely SAT. You may have heard of that. We're able to set up the 11th graders with brand new Chromebooks ready to go, ready to take the test. Obviously the batteries are fully charged. There's no hardware issues. The alternative would be if we don't get them now and we have the students use their own Chromebooks, technically okay. However, are students going to forget to charge their Chromebooks fully? Absolutely. In some cases. Maybe they neglected, but a key was broken. They didn't get that fixed in time. You get the idea. So enables that. And then we're able to give the outgoing 5th and 8th graders their Chromebooks this year, last week of school, so they can use them over the summer if they want to partake in any, extra, activities to prepare them for 9th and 6th grade. And it also enables them to hit the ground running next year. We don't have to deal with the homework, the Chromebook handouts and dissemination those first couple of days of school.
Thank you. Alyssa?
Can you just comment on what happens with the Chromebooks that the seniors have at the end of the year?
Yes, they have the option. Right now, they can keep it with them and they can take it and use it in college or their career. Alternatively, if they decide not to take it, they can leave it and, donate it to the school or leave it to the school for us to refurbish and use.
And what do you say is the percentage typically in the last couple of years of students that take it versus students that leave it?
It's overwhelming that they take it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say it's 90% take, maybe more.
And do we do anything to the Chromebooks prior to giving them back to the
We
students?
enable them, we keep them on our domain for as long as we allow them their email address at Timberlane, which is 90 days. So they graduate, clock starts tipping, they have 90 days, they can access their Chromebook under the Timberlane domain and get to the student email. After 90 days, we shut off their accounts. Their Chromebooks, they know they have to hard reset them, and then it just acts like a home Chromebook. It's not attached to our domain. Okay. So they continue to use it, however, they can't log in with a Timberlane account.
Okay. So do they have to pay anything to keep it?
They do not, no. No, we don't charge them. Why is that the case? It's because we set this program up in 2017, 2018, and we had a Chromebook committee.
Okay.
We were a little committee crazy back then. And because we established the one-to-one program for the secondary schools, that committee decided, it was a group of administrators, teachers, parents, everybody, that it'd be best for just give the 12th graders the Chromebooks, let them take them with them if they want to use them in college and beyond. I can tell you the Chromebooks themselves, after 4 years of use, have very little value.
Okay.
I don't think if we refurbish them, redistribute them, they're gonna be in rough shape. And they only work for 6 years with the Google license anyway. So a couple years ago, Google ended the perpetual license model.
Okay.
And now you have a clock ticking after you buy a Chromebook and put it on your domain. You can use it as a normal Chromebook beyond that, but it's not gonna work with your school domain. Why do they? They wanna sell Chromebooks. Districts are keeping them 10, 11 years. And so now you have to buy them, new ones after 6 years, basically. So, I mean, that was brought to the board at that time.
Yeah.
And they approved that model. And we have not revisited since. So
Fair.
that's why that's the way it is.
So, I think you do a great job. I really do, and thank you for all of this. But we just had a discussion about our financial status. And I'm just wondering if there's a little bit more efficient way, like maybe keep half of those Chromebooks, maybe we don't give them back, if we can keep those in for another 2 years. If the worst thing is a rundown battery, well, the kids should take responsibility for charging their batteries. Or whatever happens in the test happens in the test. If I forgot my pencil, it would be too bad for me. And I understand this is an important element of what we do, what you do. But it's $150,000 and we're talking about cutting, it's all about priorities, and I'm just wondering if we could defer some of this or all of this for a year. And you just talked to some of the implications if we did something like that. But I just think in light of the current fiscal situation and the temperature around the district, I just think we need to have the conversation, and I'm not deflecting from what you did or the importance of this, but is there a little bit better way of managing through this?
Don?
It's not like a hypothetical that you're talking about with, having the disruption of testing because of, computer problems that has happened, especially for the reasons you've said. And we've learned from that experience that you have to be very careful, even about how you use your building and how many places you have computers so that people can serve the need as things happen. So I love the idea that you're putting the newer computers in front of the kids so that you're not setting them up, for things that they're not aware of that are wrong with their computers that show up, or putting them in rooms with teachers and parents and, people that are monitoring special populations that don't know how to, help the kid with a computer problem, even access, the people that now could be anywhere in the building helping people out. So I think that there's a problem solving piece that you've arrived at, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I think we noticed a big difference between the two different ways you can do it. We did test, I think it was PSATs one time where they brought their own, and you can imagine we had a certain percentage that their Chromebooks, just did not hold the charge because they weren't neglected to charge them overnight, or there was hardware issues. It disrupts the test. It's not just that student, it's other students. That's where shuffling Chromebooks in and out. We're just trying to make it line up our students for the, their best success that they can achieve.
Just saying.
By doing that.
Didn't some part of the Chromebook purchase program get reduced this year when the budget was reduced?
Not this, no, well, there was there's another bucket of money, which is the staff device. Maybe you're referring to that. We do buy Chromebooks out of that as well for staff. That was cut in half, I believe. I assume that's what
So
you're referring to.
$525 is the standard number for.
Well, it depends on the incoming 6th and 9th grade class and how big they are. So I, take them, put them together, and then I get a few extra. I think last year was $550 because those were larger classes. So I don't just blindly buy, like $550 would have been too much this year, so $525 will do us.
And do you happen to know around this area, how many schools have a one-to-one device program like this?
Just about all. It's pretty especially since COVID.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, we took advantage as well of the I forget what it was called, ESSER funds.
Yeah.
We were able to get Chromebooks, and a lot of the districts at that time, if they weren't one-to-one, they went one-to-one at that point. We were already, but yeah, no, most of the districts. I mean, if we pulled it, it'd be 90% probably one-to-one. I mean, everything is so online now. I know what you were saying, Jack, and I understand like trying to save money and stuff. I think it'd be pretty, in some cases, catastrophic if we don't have enough of these devices in the classroom, because so much stuff is online now that the teachers have gone to. We try to get them, away from printing paper and being 21st century. They're going to be out, Not you, Jack, just the students.
I know. Look, if we weren't having the discussions and we just, weren't in this environment right now, I wouldn't have even asked the question or made a suggestion that we look outside the box. But we are, and it is, and it's reality. And I just think every one of these types of items, we should just be asking the questions.
Yeah, and I appreciate the question. I think Justin would back me up in that when I put a priority list together, Chromebooks are near the top of the priority list of things to keep. If you want me to reduce money from my budget, I would do it in other places. Because this directly affects students and learning.
No, I understand.
All right, and Paul, go ahead.
Just from an observation, so my daughter graduated from Timberlane in 21, and my son graduated in 2020 from a different place. Same thing, no tears. She was part of this program. My son was part of they had iPad Pros or something, but we had to pay for that. But that was a different demographic school. But man, those things are, and to your point, I'm thinking the same thing. Like in my head, I'm thinking, $525 every year, is that what we do? And I know it was $550 last year. But man, my daughter takes care of stuff, and that thing was beat to crap like at the end of the 4 years. Like that, those things aren't, these $250, they're nice and they do what they're supposed to do, but they're not built for more than like 4 or 5 years. And if you give them to a rising 8th grader, by the time they graduate, like, and my daughter's very responsible about this stuff. Like I'd have been asking for a new one after the first year. Like it would have been, so the refurbishing process on these, when you hand them to, some rising 8th graders till through senior year, especially the group of kids like me, these things are a disaster at the end. Like, so refurbishing them and the value of them, they're worth, I mean, you'd pay $5-10 for one of these things on eBay after 4 or 5 years with a bunch of kids. It would, I agree, but it's probably not feasible in this space.
Just had to ask the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, that's the point of the meeting, is asking questions, but just one more question for me. So not only are we getting $525, what else are we getting with this? Cause I know we're entering in a 3-year contract. So is it like services? Is that right?
Oh, there's a warranty involved.
The warranties, is that
we're
what
not
else
paying
we-
anything extra for that.
Okay.
We do the parent protection plan
Right.
for this, where they optionally can buy
Mhm.
that. It's roughly $10-11 a year.
Okay.
They pay once at 6th grade for their middle school career and then once at 9th grade for their high school career. We put it aside in a fund and use it to buy spare Chromebooks and parts, and it's worked out great.
Okay.
That's a lot cheaper
Yeah.
for parents and the district than going out to a third party and getting some sort of insurance. And I've looked at them, they're expensive.
Yeah. Okay, fair. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve entering into a 3-year contract with, is it Archangel?
Yep.
Or for Archangel? Oh my goodness, my eyes hurt today. For $147,414.75.
Motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Second by Dawn. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. Jack opposed.
No, I didn't.
I thought you did.
No, my hand was just like.
All right, so are you
Yeah,
for or
yeah,
against?
for. It's
All right,
unanimous. Let me
unanimous
help
for that. You gotta be quicker.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
It was the pocket hanky that did it.
We'll start
I was
doing
ringing.
progress, man.
My shoulder ringing the bell today.
I know.
We were
This is a
buying
start
them, we
talking.
owned them.
Oh, okay.
She was referencing there was an option for buying insurance, but we're not gonna.
Thank you.
All right, next policies.
Policies, we have 3 policies tonight. The first of them is policy IHBI. This is a second read. Just want to bring you back to the first read, which was in, I believe, late November. And at that time, there was discussion at the board level around, in the second paragraph, on the first page of the policy, under the purpose section, so section A, paragraph 2, it describes the purpose of alternative learning plans and defines what could potentially constitute an alternative learning plan, along with expenditures and the threshold at which the superintendent would come to the board to request board approval if there is a minimum amount. So at the time, if you remember, we had put in there a placeholder that came out of policy committee of $4,000. That did go back to policy committee. This policy went back to policy committee earlier this month, and we had discussion about that. There was at least one suggestion that was submitted by a board member. We talked about that, and so we landed at 2,000. That was voted on unanimously as a recommendation out of policy committee to bring back to you as a second read. Other than that, there were no other changes in the policy language since you looked at it, so.
Anybody on policy committee want to speak to adding more information on this policy about going from 4,000 to 2,000 or anything? Go
I
ahead.
think there was a feeling that if there were a situation that warranted it, we go to the superintendent, and explain the case to see if you needed to make an exception, so that we were saying, this is a better guideline, and if we really felt like we needed to address it by going more expensive, then we would try to, see what you wanted to do with that situation.
Also just wanted to point out that in the policy itself, there's a section on the approval process. So there would be an approval process for all alternative learning plans. Those would be reviewed by either the superintendent or designee. And so part of that review process would be looking at the cost, right? And so it's not an automatic. This is not, right? If there's a decision made that a student may qualify or is in danger of not graduating, maybe in need of an alternative plan, a learning plan, there would be a team that would be working together to strategize what could that look like. And part of that process would be reviewing budget for costs associated with that. So that $2,000 is really a marker of when it would come to you.
Okay.
But there would be a process to review the financial impact and make decisions accordingly, so.
Anybody have any other questions on policy IHBI? Marianne, did you have something?
Yeah, just, I don't think I remember this correctly, but this policy only applies to students that teachers or counselors or somebody in the school district feels that they need an alternative learning plan. This isn't somebody who wants to do
Correct.
BLO or anything.
Correct.
It's not
So the
student-driven.
policy that the board approved at your last meeting on extended learning opportunities would really address those choice-based requests that may come from students. This is really, it's very similar in nature, but it's specifically to address primarily students who may be in danger of dropping out of school, and for whom our traditional pathway may not be working, and to identify other avenues to help support them.
So it's definitely needs-based.
Yes.
Any other questions about policy IHBI? Someone want to
I make a motion to approve policy IHBI, alternative learning programs and individual plans for second read and adoption.
Motion by Shauna, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Marianne, any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained, unanimous. Cool, moving on.
Okay, for a first read, our first of the 2 policies will be policy BGAA, which is policy development, adoption, and review. This is a new policy for our district. It had been recommended, it is now required, and has been updated by the NHSBA to require, primarily some of the updated changes are that districts need to post all policies on their websites. We are already in compliance with that. This also is related to some changes in RSA and the ED 306 rules that pertain to ADA accessibility. And so by no longer having large binders in the central office that people come in and review and having everything online, it allows for any individuals who may need speech to text, may need to access some technological supports to be able to read through the policy manuals. It provides that access for those people. A couple of things I do want to draw your attention to that we discussed at policy committee on the second page of the policy. So this would be section D under procedures for policy development and review. Section 6, we had discussion at the policy committee. This was something recommended in the model policy that districts should determine themselves. So what you see underlined there with regard to the frequency at which the policy committee would report to the board, we determined that that would be monthly. And I think the rationale for that, and I would ask anyone else who was at policy committee to help with this, but I believe the rationale is that we determined that we provide updates to policy at most meetings. There could, however, be a situation where if policy committee has not moved anything forward at every single meeting every 2 weeks, we didn't want to hamstring ourselves. So we put monthly in. We thought that was reasonable. And if necessary, if we don't have any policies coming out, we would still provide an update as to where we're at and things like that. That was one point. On the following page, number 3 at the top, there was a flexibility for districts to look at this language and make a decision as to how members of the public can comment on policy proposals. Our discussion and determination is that because we post these policies in advance through the board packet, that could be something that would be open to individuals to come through delegates and individuals to speak to policies at a regularly scheduled board meeting. But just putting that out there that was another topic of discussion that we had. And beyond that, on the following page, H, I just want to draw your attention to number 1, RSA 91A. That is the right to know law. And that is the section that really speaks to accessibility, things being posted online. And so again, we're already in compliance with the requirements that are outlined in this policy. So first read, happy to answer questions, but we will bring this, depending on where you're at, we'll bring this back at the next meeting as well.
Does anybody from policy need to add anything else to what Sandy said?
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
One suggestion on page 3, you refer to board policy BEDH. Could that be linked
Like on the website?
on the website?
Like you just click
Yeah,
it?
in the
I'm
policy
sure we
on
can
the-
hyperlink it.
online. I know.
That'd be a Kennedy.
I'm curious if we can, did Ken leave?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so I'm curious
like,
if
I'm
we
done, I'm
can.
Just if it can.
Yes,
I just
yeah,
found it
one of
awkward
the,
to read and go
one of
back
the
and-
aspects of the posting is that they be posted individually. And so currently the way our policies work, if you've tried to download them, they download as a PDF and then they open as a PDF. There could probably be a link in there, but yeah, we can work on that.
If it
but
can be
yeah,
done, just.
we can definitely
But
work on
that would be nice, like as you're reading it, you can just, yeah. But yeah, to your point, Sandy, they do download it as a PDF and that's how they open, so.
And that's one of the requirements of the law is that they be posted individually. Yes.
Any other questions about policy BGAA? You wanna make a motion?
Make a motion to approve policy BGAA, policy development, adoption, and review for a first read.
Motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Seconded by Bree. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained, unanimous. Okay, last one.
Final policy for the evening is also a first read. This is a brand new policy for us and the New Hampshire School Boards Association. What you see in front of you is based on their model policy that we received this summer. This is not connected to the 8306 rules. Most of the policies we've been looking at are. Just want to remind you that back in August, the board approved policy IKL, which was on academic honesty and integrity. Within that policy, there was a section on AI that speaks to guidelines. Think about academic honesty within the context of artificial intelligence. So that has already been passed. That's on the books. Those guidelines are in student and parent handbooks, staff handbooks, things of that nature. This is specific to generative artificial intelligence only. Encourage you to read through all of it. It's a first read. Some of the changes that you'll see in here that differ from the model policy language are highlighted. I printed in black and white, but in your packet, they should be in red. Some of those changes are, we noticed, and some of the discussion, let me back up. What I should add is this went to our Artificial Intelligence Committee. It went to Curriculum Assessment Committee for 2 meetings to review, and to Policy Committee for 2 meetings as well. So it's been vetted.
Okay.
Some of the feedback that came out of that process is that this is specific to generative AI, and there were multiple instances throughout the policy where generative was left out. So you'll notice that that word has been added and as a descriptor in front of AI. In addition, there was some reorganization that came out of Policy Committee, just for clarity. We noticed that some of the organization of sections, the organization under Roman numerals and things like that was off. It went from D to H. Those are just things that we fixed. Other than that, on the final page, there is just above, it may not be the final page, it is section D2, guidelines for teachers. Number 5 was added to the model policy.
Okay.
Just again to speak to the need for teachers to set clear boundaries around responsible AI use, et cetera. That aligns with some of the language that came out of policy IKL that I referenced before. And other than that, it is pretty straightforward and connected to the model policy.
Any questions about policy EHAG?
One question, there were, on page 3, there was a term about sandboxed AI deployment. I have no idea what that
Let me
means.
find that.
So you didn't use AI
See if
and
we
ask
have
them?
Chromebooks.
I didn't use AI to find out, no, I guess I could have, I don't use AI.
Sandbox.
It's okay, I'll
Yeah,
Google it.
I'll Google it.
no, it's okay. I'm looking for, it's in number 4. I didn't see it. I was looking for it. Okay. This is, I think, around data privacy. So we'll get information from Ken as to specifically what that's referencing. But this is around the district's requirement to protect employee student data. It's a term that, but yeah, good question.
Any other questions about this policy for a first read? Anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve policy EHAG, use of generative artificial intelligence for a first read.
Motion made by Shauna. Do I have a second? Seconded by Jack. He was quicker on the hand. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained, unanimous. Okay, thank you, Sandy. All right, we are to our last business item, which is our running agenda item of our draft warrant articles.
I'm going to ask Maria to come up to the table again, and then a couple of things about the draft warrant just to point out for you. The first is, you know that there are a lot of CBAs that we're moving forward.
Yes.
There are 4 there with placeholders. We don't have any tentative agreements yet to bring forward to you. We have a lot of momentum behind all 4 phases. I'm really hoping that the first meeting in January will be bringing some tentative agreements for the board to review.
Okay.
Article 2, as you know, is the operating budget and also has the default number there. So what I like to be able to do is you can see the new proposed budget as it stands at the conclusion of the budget committee. I'm going to unpack some of their actions in my admin report. But here, I want you focusing on the default budget.
Mm-hmm.
In your packet, also on page 285, is a revised default budget based on determinations from the budget committee.
Mm-hmm.
And I want Maria to be able to kind of walk that through with you because you had previously voted on a default. And since the budget committee made some reductions that are contractual, we are here to provide you the information. We're going to remove them from the default budget as well. So looking to present that to you, get a vote and approval for that new number. And then that's how it will be reflected in Article 2.
Okay, thank you, Maria.
So as Mr. Krieger said, we had a contractual agreement that was agreed through the budget process through the budget committee to be removed from the budget, and that is the estimated payment for phase 4 of the lease.
Okay.
We're gonna request Bank of America for that payment to be due in July of 2027. So that excludes it from the fiscal year 2027. So the estimated amount for that phase 4 that we had placed in the budget was $900,050.
Okay.
Which is different from the increase that we had put, because as you see at the bottom, I added the explanation. So the total amount for the 3 phases that we were estimating was $1,905,115. And what our 2026 budget carry on for this obligation was $1,061,061. So the difference between those two was the $844, but the phase 4 estimate itself was $900,050. So that's why we're removing. That's the amount that we are removing from the default budget. And that lays the default budget at $89,597,430. Then we exclude the $250,000 for the capital allocation, and that leaves the total amount that you see in the draft warrant of $89,347,430.
Listen.
And I'm sorry, I just don't understand this, that's why I'm asking. So cause there were positions that were cut from the budget committee meeting, correct?
No. So we have to, the board cuts positions.
Okay, so if and when those positions are officially cut, does that will change the default budget again?
No, it will not.
So the recommendation from the budget committee for the cuts in the budget were just recommendations. The budget committee does not have the authority to terminate any positions, and it's up to the school board to decide where those cuts in the budget come from. So once the voters vote for a budget, either if it's the default or for the proposed budget, the school board has the authority to take that bottom line budget and decide what they're gonna do and where they're gonna allocate those cuts. So the budget committee suggests some of the cuts and some of the places where to cut, but those positions are not eliminated until the school board makes the decision, and that is after the budget is voted.
Thank you for clarifying that.
So, to your point, my understanding was they did not fund those positions. If we cut those positions, say we made a motion tonight to cut all those positions that were suggested or recommended, how we could get to the number that we got to, that those positions, if no longer there, are no longer contractual, therefore would come off the default budget. That was my understanding of it. Is that wrong?
We checked with legal counsel, and that's not the answer that
I think Jack
Thought I
was
read
asking if the board
If we made a motion tonight.
made a motion and voted to eliminate the positions that were used as contacts for the budget committee tonight, prior to the public hearing and the deliberative session, those eliminated positions in the default, where do they stand, or do we need some time to, because that's a different question.
So if the board makes the decision to eliminate those positions today, then those positions tomorrow will be eliminated. So those
Come off the default.
people won't be here tomorrow. We will have to inform those employees that they are.
No, I think what he's,
I think he's referring to the following fiscal year.
Right, if those positions are not eliminated in this fiscal year, they are part of the default budget because they are still part of the voted budget.
Correct.
So if the school board makes a decision to eliminate those positions in this fiscal year,
No, I'm not suggesting that we would do that. Justin, you brought up a good point. Thank you that, do we wait for the public hearing? And it would have to be between the public hearing and deliberative, because,
it would have to be
After the deliberative.
And it would have to be after the vote.
but can you change the default after the deliberative?
No.
No,
No.
so that's my point. That's my point. If you wanted to, and I'm not suggesting that we do, I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page. I'm not suggesting that we cut any positions this year. My question was, to Alyssa's point was, if based on what the budget committee did, we did what was suggested for next year's budget, then would that come off the default?
The proposed budget.
For the
So as
proposed
you
budget,
remember,
yes.
as you know, the default budget is last year's
budget.
voted
I
budget,
know,
which includes all those positions.
right,
Now, the budget committee made a recommendation
right.
to eliminate those positions, but it's not something that is happening in this year. So the base budget is still encompassing those positions.
Thank you for that clarity.
Does that make sense?
Marianne?
Does the board even have the ability to say we're eliminating a position effective July 1st of 2026? Or are decisions, they have to be immediately effective? It's like post-dating a check. You can't do that, can you?
I don't think so. No.
I didn't think so, but I thought I'd ask.
Any other questions about the, so again, so the default budget that we voted on, we'll have to re-vote on it because it's changed. And that's from the lease, that we decided to wait till the other year before we make that payment. So we do need to make a motion to approve this current default budget.
Could I ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So is the new estimate for the phase 4 because of the addition of the 239,000 last that we approved at the last?
By EEI for the HVAC stuff?
Yeah.
It was gonna be included.
You mean the variance that we discussed last
Yeah.
meeting?
Yes.
Does that have an impact on?
Is that why the estimate now is 900,000 instead of 800?
No.
No.
Okay.
If you follow the explanation for the 844, like I said, so we started because we're comparing to the voted 26 budget, that's like our baseline, right? That budget had $1,061,000 for lease payment. Then we take the 3 phases that will be our obligation next year, right? Phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. The total of that is 1.9 million. The variance between that 1.9 and the million is the 844.
Okay.
But the phase 4 estimate was at 900. We're removing that phase 4 estimate.
Okay.
So that leaves, the 900,000.
Now I understand.
Marianne, it took me 3 times, so if you just needed it once, that's fantastic.
And I told,
I think 2 times.
I told Mr. Figueroa that I said, numbers are easy to me, but I know that I understand in my head is not easy for other people to understand. So you're not the only one that have asked the question, and yes, thank you for bringing it up.
Any other questions? All right, someone will make a motion to approve the new default number. Someone needs to do it. It changed.
Make the motion.
All right. Jack made the motion to approve the default budget of $89,347,430. Do I have a second? Second by Alyssa. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstain. 1 abstention. Bree. Anything?
So as it
Go ahead.
is right now, the budgets, the default budget and the proposed budget are a shy of $1.4 million difference.
Thanks, Maria. And then collective bargaining agreements are there for you to the next thing to point out is Article 11. You wanna scroll there. The last time we were before you, we talked about not only wanting to close the account and then transfer the funds into a newly named account, which gives the boards different authority,
Oh, yeah.
but also to raise and appropriate $250,000 for the account. And talking more with your legal counsel, their suggestion was to separate those 2 asks. So you'll see a new Article 12 there that is very simple. It's just looking to raise and appropriate money from this year to put into the capital improvement and maintenance fund. So that's a newly worded article there for you to review for Article 12. The numbering then changes. 12 becomes 13. The kindergarten Article 13 warrant article becomes 14. And then lastly, to point out for you, we had some language in front of you for Article, what was 14, that is now 15. It's the last one, interest on invested lease proceeds. Your legal counsel has consulted other experts in the field. We are making the suggestion, or he's making the suggestion, that we're removing the language that struck out and then using the language there that would allow the board the authority to spend any of the proceeds from the interest from the lease, which at this time you can see the dollar figure that's there. The one requirement, and I think Maria is in front of us, is that it's got to be done within a 24-month period of receiving the interest money. Do I have that correct?
Yes, and the actual warrant article should say that these are the amount of when we remove the funds, because that amount changes every day.
Yes.
That amount will be most likely just as of the.
Do we also have to put, because I see it says for the purpose of X, so then do we have to like be specific, like we wanna spend it on this, we wanna do, or is it?
Gordon is still thinking through what that's gonna need to be, if
Okay.
anything.
Okay. To be determined, okay, so right now we don't know, okay. Just wanna go back to article, so just to follow the web, Article 11 gets rid of the old capital reserve, establishes the new and takes the $490,937 and puts it in the new. But then the Article 12 raises and appropriates what we've been doing every year.
Yes.
Okay, alright,
So that 250 has been a warrant article
Okay.
since the insertion of
Right,
this,
okay.
capital fund.
it's just attached to the new fund now, okay, alright.
And really, the purpose of the suggestion was to separate one that's a cost impact and one that's not.
Right, okay. Mary Ann?
I thought in past years the capital improvement warrant article had, that it was going to be money from surplus and no amount to be raised by taxation.
Right.
But this one is giving an estimated tax impact listed under the warrant, under Article 12.
That's how Gordon has it drafted now, Maria?
Yeah, it is still not raised by taxation, because if we have available funds at the end of the year, they will be transferred. So it's not like we're raising and appropriating funds for that.
So
It had already been raised and appropriated, it's not new money.
If you look at the current warrant article, maybe that's something we should.
Yeah, so is that in RSA, or do we need to talk to Gordon about specifying? Because that's not specified in the
I
language
think we
here.
need to talk to Gordon to make it like the article is right now, because we do not raise and appropriate for that. They
Yeah.
come.
Right.
From the
If
unreserved
we
fund
have
balance.
unassigned fund balance available, then
You can look at.
we can retain
Some of
the
the other towns,
250
like,
in the capital reserve.
So that's not how it's written.
Yeah, so I think it should be the way.
That's what
it
most
is.
So we got two things to follow up regarding that stuff. And then we've got the first meeting in January, so you'll see this again certainly
Yeah.
before we're in
Okay.
front of the public hearing.
Any other question on the warrant articles? Okay, that's it for business. Next to administrator's report.
We got a couple things to go through. Dr. Martin, you wanna lead us, and then Ms. Hilaire?
Absolutely, absolutely. I left my Tuba Christmas scarf upstairs. I was gonna hang it over the edge as a reminder about the wonderful holiday event at the PAC at 2:00 Saturday, including all of our Timberlane music instrumentalists involved as well. I wanted to give a shout out to Marie at First Student. We are very quick to criticize when things don't go the way we want them to go. With our bus company, I want to be as quick to shout out Marie when she really, I was very impressed. I monitor the bus radio in the AM and the PM, and yes, sometimes it's a chuckle, that's for sure. Not that anything unsafe is going on, but they're cute. And a couple weeks ago, the railroad gate in Plastow was stuck closed. It was one of our first really cold days, and I got the text message with the principals just before 6 a.m. I think parents were Marie called the parents that were
Affected.
impacted by this situation. In addition, when the drivers got on the road, remember we have some substitute drivers from Rhode Island that might not know our community as well as others, that I was astonished at her ability to coach them on the radio and turn here, back up here. Nope, don't go down that road. I think the word she used was, that guy will have a fit. A driver was gonna back into somebody's driveway. Anyway, a shout out to Marie, really, she's very, very mindful of the safety of students and the drivers as well. That cracked me up. The second virtual meeting with Bathroom Architects occurred on Tuesday, January 16th. Again, another productive meeting with some ideas that will come forward to the Facilities Committee for their feedback on January 13th. And I also wanted to thank our friends in Keene who've already done a bathroom of this nature. And I called the facilities director and asked him for some feedback on the vape monitors that they use. We're going to be able to take a look at some of the things that they installed a couple of years back to see are they still happy with the vendors that they chose. And he gave me some really good feedback. So I will share that with the committee. Where am I going? Oh, yes. As I just mentioned, on January 13th, the architect for Warren Street, Scott Donovan, Timberlane grad, wrestler. Somebody you recall?
Yeah,
Mr.
great kid.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah. He'll be here at 10 o'clock to work with the Facilities Committee. And in the afternoon, I'm working on getting a couple of civil engineers that have expressed a desire to work with us on potential envelope of the high school planning. Lastly, I'd like to have a shout out to my new HVAC tech, Laura Yasik from Sandown North. I did a training for four of our principals on our building automation system, just a piece of it to be able to look at what's going on in your building. At 2:06 one afternoon, Laura called me and said, I don't know who else to call. Travis is done for the day, and the teachers were complaining that the temperature was going down. I went into the system and looked at what the temperatures were at 8 o'clock in the morning and could see the consistent downturn throughout the day. I then went into the system and saw that we have two furnaces at Sandown North. One was down, and the other, the heat pump was down. So immediate call to Nick, our night guy. Nick, this is what I'm seeing. And in case I didn't verbally say it correctly, I took a screenshot of it. I sent it to him. Off he went to North. And we probably were able to save a morning of school or frozen pipes or something of that nature. The system has value, and appreciate my new HVAC tech very much. Lastly, it also contributes to what we're trying to do in a culture of energy efficiency in the district for principals to be aware of what's going on in their buildings, because we're going to become more energy efficient as time moves on. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you.
Mine is fairly short. The overwhelming amount of work that we're doing in curriculum instruction assessment is really preparing for this transition over to some of the changes that are coming our way with the 8306 rules that I feel like I talk about all the time. But that's really our reality. So just the primary update is that we are actively planning with our secondary teams for the work to develop new courses in conjunction with the requirements that were just approved in the program of studies for the incoming class of 2030. So you will be seeing some curriculum coming your way eventually. Once our teachers and staff work on that, it goes through CNA, it'll come to you. We are also actively planning professional learning sessions on our January PD Day connected to grading practices, assessment practices, really hyper-focusing on competency, what that means, reviewing our rubrics, and having some aligned conversations across grade levels. So we'll be updating you on that process probably for the next year. So that's really about all I have.
Thanks, Sandy.
Buckle in. Two things just tonight, and then two things I think just to celebrate. First is just a facility director update. I think just keeping you informed. I had about 30 folks reach out to me. This week I met with 5 of them. I'm going to meet with another 3 before the end of the next week. Just really want to extend my appreciation to Mr. Tim Powers, who's the headmaster at Pinkerton Academy, who allowed Ryan Jackson, their facilities director, to sit with me for 6 hours in those conversations. and also Mike Flynn, which may be a familiar name here to some Timberlane people. Current superintendent of dairy, thanking him for having Jeremy Lamont, their facilities director, also sitting with me for those. I'm looking to narrow that group of 8 over the holiday and bring them back in January, spend some more time with these people, and I'll continue to keep you updated on that process.
Awesome.
Update for the budget committee. We've talked a little bit about it tonight, but making sure we're all on the same page. You guys had a really good substantive conversation with them on December 11th, and they expressed their appreciation to you for that. There were some determinations made that evening that we communicated to you through email. The budget committee then again met that following Monday on the 15th. They made some additional determinations that evening, and you see the news proposed budget number in front of you this evening in Article 2. Moving forward, the budget committee has elected not to meet at their last scheduled meeting on the 22nd, and I do not envision them meeting and gathering for the remainder of the season. So as we look at Article 2 now, that's what I would anticipate going to the public hearing on January 15th. Couple of things that happened over that budget committee process, just really high level, as we began with a $92 million proposed budget. Through working with the budget committee, they made about $4 million of reductions. We gave them some context to kind of figure out those things. The real 4 big buckets are the lease for about $900,000 that was reduced. There was $1.3 million in additional capital money that was reduced or recommended to be reduced. $200,000 potentially in transportation savings, and about $1.5 million in positions. All told, the budget committee identified 21 positions that they suggested to eliminate. Moving forward, we're at now a $6 million increase versus voted 26, about where the proposed stands, and that's at about a 7% increase versus the 12% that where the 92 million was at the beginning. So moving forward, January 15th is the public hearing, February 5th is the deliberative session, and that will be the calendar that will then move us to March for the vote. 2 things to celebrate. I want to recognize a group of high school staff members who wrote a grant to the Appalachian Mountain Club and took 9 students to Mount Pierce and Mount Jackson for an overnight hiking experience Saturday and Sunday a few weeks back. It's Mr. Mark Pasquini, Mr. Meg Guanci, Mr. Taylor Kenny, who teaches math over at the high school, and Miss Elena Ward. All did this on a volunteer basis. They did not receive a stipend. They went out and sought the grant out. They connected with other community partners and got equipment for the kids. Of those kids that did that hike, some of them have never hiked a mountain before. And the first mountain they chose to hike was 4,000 feet in the wintertime. That is not easy. I was huffing and puffing by the time I was at the top of it. But 4 staff members taking a weekend to take 9 kids into the awesome experience about where we live in New Hampshire. So really well done, and at no cost to the taxpayer. The other thing that I was at last night for the first time ever in Timberlane was a wrestling match. That was a special night. You know that we celebrated Coach Chu last night with a dedication ceremony there. He was there with his wife. He was there with his daughters. He was there what I believe would be his grandchildren, and was really a touching evening. I met alumni as far back as 1970 something.
71.
And from every decade, all the way through. And the community that was there, the one thing that stood out to me is like it looked like a baseball season to me, because I'm not a wrestler, but what I see over on the side is like little siblings, brothers and sisters of these athletes, like jumping off the bleachers and like, but it was okay. Like
They're feral.
but there was such a focus.
Controlled feral. Still
There was
feral.
such a focus on the mat and seeing the coaches and when they wanted to coach and when they wanted to watch. The first match took, I think, all 6 minutes. I'm kind of learning the wrestling. And then I got to see Timberlane like show its stuff. It was like pin, pin, pin. For the next like 3 matches, like within the first 30 seconds. So it was great to acknowledge him, but Coach Chu absolutely wanted me to come back and again thank the board for that recognition. I know a lot of you there were that night celebrating with him, but he wanted to make an apparent point to say that it was really a meaningful experience for him last night, and to thank this group of folks for recognizing.
I'm surprised the headmaster for Pinkerton is still talking to you.
That's true. We wrestled Pinkerton last night too, right? In the coach of Pinkerton. Where'd he come from?
Timberlane.
05, he and Tim Brown and Dan and a slew of people that were there all graduated together. So it's kind of a celebration of the history.
Yeah, that's cool.
anything else?
No, I do not.
Alright, all good things, awesome. Alright, let's see, we don't have anything in personnel. Alright, committee reports, I'll start with Jack.
Yeah, so we had a facilities meeting. EEI came in and ran down the list of things and kind of gave a greater, broader explanation of everything. And then Dr. Martin gave us a bird's eye view of the proposed bathroom project that was kind of detailed. So that took up most of the meeting, and that's we continue to chug along and getting things done.
Don?
I just want to follow up on what you were just talking about to say thank you to all the alumni that came back, to be a part of the program and to watch that match last night. They all gathered afterwards, and the storytelling about all the things that have happened over the years that made a difference to them in their lives, and how they live their life and what they believe in. A lot of things that stem from the program, and especially from Barry. So thank you. I want to thank them for being there.
For me, just reiterating what Justin said about the budget committee, we had that great joint meeting on the 11th, and then we met again on Monday. I was late to the party due to negotiations, but they have, I just lost my train of thought. That they've decided to do some more reductions, but we are not gonna be back at all until the public hearing, so that's all I have. Go ahead, Sean.
I don't have any committee reports, but I do just want to give a little bit of a shout out. I've literally spent every night this week out of my house, just like most parents, right? We call December-thon in my family, like, cause every night of the month of December has something on it, the calendars, but I do want to reflect on a specific group of students at the middle school who I watched my son, who's in 8th grade course, it was 7th, 8th grade choral concert. And I just want to shout out that the students who were not performing but sitting in the audience were so respectful, so kind, so engaged in watching their peers on stage. I couldn't stop watching the children watching their peers. It was really impressive, especially for that age group, especially for this time of year. So kudos to the kids for being responsible and respectful. Kudos to those instructors who are working with those kids and teaching them how to be attentive audience members. And kudos to parents for supporting all of this. It was really kind of cool to see. Yeah.
Thank you, Bree. I have no updates. Alyssa.
No committee updates, but I do want to give a shout out to Pollard. They are starting up for the 4th and 5th graders a Spanish club in January. And I thought this was fitting to bring up since we were talking about the Canada trip. My son came home that day that they found out it was starting and was so excited, literally in the pickup line. He wasn't even in the car yet. He was already taking the paper out of his bag and throwing it in the front seat at me, saying, "Ma, you got to do this because there's a limited amount of spots. You've got to sign up." Okay, we'll look at it when we get home. No, like right now. So as we were in the pickup line waiting for the line to move, I was instructed to scan the QR code and fill out the Google form to make sure that he got on this. And talking with other parents, like that was the response that a lot of children were giving.
Awesome.
So there was a huge desire for this from the kids. So I'm really happy that they were able to do that for the kids, and hopefully there will be more things coming down the road with that too, because the kids were very excited. So shout out to whoever, I'm not sure who facilitated that, Mrs. Sully or whoever else at the staff, but yes, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, this is the second thing recently because they, in partnership with the rec program with Plastow, I think they've also done a ski club.
Yeah, that's more through the town though. Not
Right,
through
it
the
is,
school,
but it's just good to see
Yeah.
because Pollard for a long time hasn't had
Yeah.
like any as many
Extracurricular,
curricular
correct,
things that's
correct.
like school based.
Yes.
So that's been great to see. Paul,
I don't have anything new.
awesome. Very good.
No updates. Curriculum and assessment is in January 7th. That's coming up.
All right. Is there any new business? Before Jack speaks, anyone else?
Jesus.
I just wanted to say about the wrestling thing. I unfortunately couldn't be there because I was home with my littles. I felt it more important for my husband to go, who
Yeah.
actually wrestled under the coach.
Awesome.
And he actually brought my oldest, who is currently wrestling for Timberlane. And so we got to have Woody there kind of like miking and talking about it with his co-coach, we'll call the man of the hour, with people he's actually taught, and that continues to grow the love of the sport. So it was a
Sounds
good
like that was a
special.
really awesome event.
It was. My kid came back all smiles, so excited to be the next future Woodworth wrestlers.
Jack.
So I have to recognize Dr. Martin for not stepping on, for allowing me to talk about the ringing of the belfry. I'm sure you did that by design,
Well,
right?
you know, I was.
So thank you.
You're at my pleasure.
Yeah, so I realized what you were done.
Take the win, Dr.
So it's gonna, the meeting's gonna last
Take it.
another 20 minutes longer than it should have.
You got 5.
We did the first bell ringing, the grand opening, they at early in the morning when they get together, what do they call it? God.
Like morning meeting?
Morning meeting, thank you, morning meeting. A few things I recognize is that all the first graders sit in the front and second, third, fourth, fifth. So when they stood up to the Pledge of Allegiance, it looked like they all going straight down. We had the historical club there, the library club there, the gentleman that was the lead carpenter on the project got up. I would love for that presentation to be given here because it was still knowledgeable after everything we went through. He did an incredible job, thanks to EEI, but the whole ceremony, the kids were unbelievable. The principal did a great job, but something hit me while I was there, and I want to share this with everyone, and it has to do with the budgetary process, kind of, sort of. We had some children there that needed some special attention, that needed individual attention, and that kind of caught my eye. And the dad in me was very compassionate about that. The school board member kind of just watched the ticker go. But then I recognized the job that the teachers were doing. Those are very special people and very unique. And then I got home and it kind of hit me like, with my kids, what kept me awake at night, was he gonna hit third or fourth in the batting order? Was my daughter gonna make high honors or just honors? These parents that count on us to manage and take care of their kids, they stay up at night for a very different reason. When we're talking about the budget and we're talking about special needs, forever I will remember those teachers and that relationship that was taking place at the meeting today, because you get to see it firsthand. So a shout out to those very special people that are dedicated to our children that need some individual attention. Secondly, I'd like to make a motion. I knew this was coming, and I think everyone else in the room did. I'm making a motion to remove the $750,000 PAC roof project in the fourth phase of the lease and replace it with the $500,000 high school envelope project.
Well, do you have any information for us
Yeah,
to
yeah,
look?
no, I do. I just,
Do you wanna-
before I talk about it,
Well, no, do you have any information for us like to physically have? Cause where are they at in that project, Dr. Martin? I mean, is it like pretty much like, hold on, is it cut and paste? Like, is it all ready to go?
So
For the envelope?
the contract for the phase 4 of the lease is has gone back and forth with our attorney and EEI and is in EEI's hands right now.
Okay.
But I would also just wanna mention that, remember that we have a contract with EEI for the lease projects. And so if that were to occur, then it would be EEI that would be facilitating that project.
that's the way I see it. And just, I mean, relative to having things in hand, anything that we've entered into on those lease projects were with budgetary numbers. So this is absolutely no different than what we've been doing all along. What it basically does is it reduces our budget by another $500,000. It addresses something that needs immediate attention versus something that, and EEI was in here and they told us there was nothing wrong with that pack roof at this point in time. It also defers that $750,000. I mean, that's what the lease is there to do. The EEI, the envelope of the building, excuse me, someone asked at the budgetary meeting if it addressed the energy savings issue. It does. And I can just tell you from my standpoint, from where I sit, from my experience, that envelope, you always, even today at the Belfry thing, the elite carpenter says you always take care of the outside, the perimeter of something that you're doing before you address the inside so it doesn't rot, so it doesn't fail even further. So I've been working on this for over 3 years. I have correspondence that the administration and EEI had actually been working on this for over 2 years. And I just think it is a more crucial project than the roof of the PAC Center, because the roof of the PAC Center, even according to EEI, is perfectly fine. And I've always said we need to address what's broken first and then move down the line in that fashion. So,
but didn't the phase 4 of the lease, those projects that went through the facilities committee to determine, and then it came before us, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it's already been vetted, and then the envelope of the building was placed in CIP. And then also, I don't know if Dr. Martin or Justin wants to answer this question, but it's not just the PAC roof. Like, what else is tied in that? Are there not other things going on with the HVACs along with that?
I don't wanna guess at it.
No, that's
There-
fine. That's why I just
there-
wanna-
There is, yes.
Okay.
As Dr. Martin is looking at that, if we're having discussion, Jack, is I know that Mr. Sherwood is in attendance with us tonight, but are you able to speak to potentially any input from him from the facilities committee in this? Are you guys unified in this position? Is it something that you differ on? That information might be useful for the board.
I honestly, all I can tell you is that through a number of events, with me trying to address the envelope, to your question, I don't want to speak for Mark, because quite frankly, I can't remember whether we totally agreed on that or totally, I think he agrees. I have 2 architects that sit exactly where I sit on this that have told me straight up, you've got to do that, okay? Brad Banwell and the gentleman in the 2019 deliberative session. That's the whole reason we did the PAC. It overwhelmingly passed that we addressed the envelope of the PAC Center before that got, and the high school is about 30 years older, if I'm not mistaken, than the PAC Center, with the same details, with the same deterioration, just at a more accelerated rate. I can show you the memory stick with all the pictures, but the dog ate it. And I have the memory stick here with all the teeth mark on it, so I apologize. But again,
But what did the facilities committee say about this? Not just you.
it was never brought forth before the facilities committee, one over the other. And the reason why is because I was told, and I don't think it was correct, that, well, it can't go on the CIP until May, and we can't bring it before the board or the facilities before it gets on the CIP. And there is not a policy in place that doesn't say that you can't move forward with the project just because it's not on the CIP. We come up with projects all the time that aren't on the CIP, that all of a sudden we have an issue. The question before the board, is it better off to spend a little less money, reduce the budget by $500,000 and address something that not only is gonna give you a better R value, enhance the look of the building incredibly, and seal it once and for all. We're out there doing patchwork for the last 10, 15 years.
So question for you then, when you all were talking in facilities about the phase 4 of the lease, and you all came up with the thing, what was it stated about the envelope of the building from that committee?
I don't think it was ever addressed, but my point is that, let me think about this for a second.
No, it's okay.
Just because it wasn't addressed, we've talked about it at great length. Mark and I have talked about it at great length. We know it's been put off and moved around and for whatever reason, different people have different priorities. We have, how can I put this without going into a non-public? Our main focus, and I think some people on this board understand this, have been HVAC and roofs. That is not the only issues that we have. It's not the only issues we have within the district. It was a fist fight to get the windows in over HVAC and roof products, and nobody can ever tell me that the windows weren't one of the better decisions that we made. And I can tell you, if you go down the list, and I can go down the list of about $10 to $15 million between the floors, the windows, the football lights, I can go the $150,000 water pipe. I've always directed this board in the right direction. So this whole, well, what did the facilities, it's a motion before the board to do something that I believe, in my professional opinion, that's been discussed at great length. I actually have a
But not at facilities.
correspondence from EEI 2 years ago saying that they were working with the architect on the envelope of the building. So it's not like it hasn't been discussed, it's just that when things get approached for the lease, it's always HVAC and roofing. And I think this time we just make an executive decision based on those criteria that I said. Our value, appearance of the building, and making it finally watertight and getting rid of material that is failing according to two architects. I mean, you can see it with your own two eyes.
Bree? I know in CIP, there was a motion that the envelope would be on the fiscal year 27 project list. I don't know how that's affected based on reductions or costs, but it was on.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, move it up and put it on the lease.
This sounds to me like you're looking also for cost savings for a budget, decrease, as a
$500,000.
Well, so I'm thinking that was not part of the conversation when you were taking a look at the order of operations here. But I want, by shifting that, do we compromise any aspect of the work, or do we make it impossible to do any aspect of the work?
Right.
And I don't know that answer, but I think that perhaps the same groups that are, do we have time to go back, to facilities, check the thinking before we take a vote on something?
So what I would suggest to this board is that facilities was the ones that they came through, they looked at priorities, they then presented to us, and we voted on phase 4 of the lease. It's already been through our attorneys and it's with the EI. If at any time we can change things, but we don't have anything, any documents, any paperwork, anything to verify, to even look at what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
If you would let me finish, you
Go
might
ahead.
know. So what I would suggest is maybe this is an agenda item for the next meeting to where we can get things like what else is attached to that roof at the PAC, where you're at, like what the cost would be for the envelope, what the facilities committee has come up with. Then we can actually make a decision with the facts in front of us that if we want to do that, then we can vote to do that. And if not, then we can continue to maintain with what we've done with phase 4 of the lease. Bree, Mary Ann, Bree, and then Jack.
If there's already a draft of a contract for phase 4 with EEI, won't waiting till the next meeting be too late?
Don't think it would.
We don't have a signed contract with EEI because there's still some legal questions that we have that are going back and forth. I don't have an answer for that, Mary, and I don't know. It's something certainly I would want to go and ask and figure out and have a very clear idea of what the impact is if we change anything that we've previously voted to do.
And how detailed is the list of the work that is in the contract? I've only seen the financial part of the
It's
contract.
extremely granular, which is why we send it to an attorney for them to look at, and Primex, our insurance company. Extremely granular, like do this here and do that there and.
Bree?
And I think that's some of the information that I would want at the next meeting where the PAC roof has that granular breakdown, but the envelope, we just have an estimate from CIP and we might need some granular numbers of that to know exactly the cost savings.
Granular numbers of the PAC roof?
Envelope, well, I guess, but the envelope more so.
We don't have any information on the envelopes. That would be.
No, and I'll be.
Could I ask, Really quickly, Dr. Martins.
Sure.
In January, there is a morning schedule for the facilities group to do some work with the architects for the bathroom.
That's correct.
Do I also understand that there is some potential afternoon work to have envelope consultants continue to talk with us and visit the structure with us there with the facilities group?
That is correct. And make note, these are just folks that facilitate the design and construction. So we're not even at the cost breakdown, construction, RFP, all the things that are associated with that.
So to Bree's kind of thing, we'd be happy to bring back anything that you need. I think there still may be enough time, but to your earlier point, and this is, I think, where Jack is thinking about, the Budget Committee also reduced the capital line by $1.3 million for fiscal '27. So although they can't identify projects, there is not the capacity in the CIP spending power than there once was, or at least the suggestion is not to do that now. So we're going to lose maybe some capacity next year. So.
But I just think this committee does not like it when things are springed on us and we don't have all the information. So I just think it's prudent that we have all the information in front of us before we make our minds up to change something. That's just what I would suggest. Jack, yeah, go ahead.
So about 90% of what we go down, especially with the CIP stuff, it's all budgetary numbers walking into it, and then we work our way out into the contracts, into the details, even with the lease. We put things on the lease, and then that granular stuff gets in there, okay? I'm very confident on the number, not the actual design, not the actual outcome of the envelope of the building. To say that this has been sprung on us, I talked about this at the Budget Committee meeting. I've talked about this for the last 2 years. I've talked about this with the administration. I've talked about this with architects. I've talked about this with EEI. This has been an ongoing.
Just because
I understand.
Look,
the
just because
boards-
you talk about
wait,
things,
excuse-
just because you talk about things, we still have to have information in front of us to be able to look at. I get it. It's been a passion project for you and it needs to be fixed. I understand that.
But the passion is because of my many years of experience understanding the sequence on how general basic construction should be done. And our focus has been in one arena, for lack of a better term, for a specific reason. And I think we take our focus off of that. And again, it is to make that building watertight, which it is not, to make it more attractive to the students and to increase the R value. And to say, I just want everyone to understand this, everyone knew this was coming tonight. So to say that this was all of a sudden sprung on to everybody.
To say that you were gonna make this motion tonight?
Well, the lease is about ready to be signed. And I talked about flipping it. Didn't I talk about it at the Budget Committee meeting? Exchanging the roof for the envelope?
You did talk about it, but that doesn't
Okay.
mean that you were gonna do anything tonight.
But the
But
lease is
before
about.
he goes on,
But the
Jack
lease
has
is
made a
about to be
motion.
signed.
Jack has made a motion. Does anybody wanna second it? All right, motion fails. What let's do is let's put this.
I'd like to make a motion that the feasibility of putting the envelope project into the lease in lieu of the PAC roof be investigated and information be brought back to us at the next meeting.
Second that motion.
You get that nice and clear for me, Linda?
What's that?
Get that nice and clear, the feasibility, Marianne, can you
You got
repeat that for me? You got it? Okay, sorry.
Jack's motion failed because no one seconded it. And then Marianne made the motion, Bree seconded. I would also be in agreement with this, just so, again, so we have the information and if the board decides to do it, that's fine. Yeah, Linda, go ahead.
Just have Marianne
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
I tried to save you.
The feasibility of the envelope.
Removing the PAC roof and replacing it with the envelope of the building.
For phase 4.
Phase 4 of the lease.
Okay.
All right, and that was made a motion by Marianne and seconded by Bree. Anybody, Jack? And then Dawn.
Thank you very much, Marianne, for making that motion. I appreciate it. I just want to point out, the lease is what this board decides the lease is going to be, as long as it falls within those parameters, both fiscally and that environmental component or the energy savings component of it. So that's
Okay,
Thank
Don?
you.
Well, it's always, I appreciate that creative thinking, and I think I also would love to hear Mark's perspective on this.
Yeah.
And it, you know, he may think it's the greatest idea.
Right.
I wanna hear it.
Yep.
You know, and I feel like, I think we're all entertaining, like,
Yeah.
what's the best thing to do here?
Right.
And you know, I don't wanna argue with something I don't know much about.
Right.
You know, but I'd like to want more information, and not necessarily that he didn't have all the information that we would need to know. I want everybody to feel like
Yep.
they get it.
Yeah, waiting one more meeting.
If we can wait, I would definitely.
Yeah, hold on, Dr. Mark, go ahead.
When is our next meeting?
January.
First,
Yeah, because the first is the first Thursday and we're not meeting on that day.
The 8th, January 8th.
January 8th.
So we are tentatively scheduled with our potential consultants on the 13th, so I will have to gather them prior to that, which we can do, I guess.
well, I think the only information I'm hearing you need is whether it would be a violation of the contract that we currently have. Like right now, that's the information I would bring back is that contractually with EEI, can we substitute out a job and move it in? I don't necessarily, I'm not hearing anything that you need more firmer numbers than what was projected in CIP, unless you've got specific questions to that end. Because we don't have that information now until we begin talking with these consultants, which is in process to do with the members of the facilities committee.
Yeah, Mary Ann.
So I thought I might have heard Jack say that EEI had looked at the envelope of the building when they were doing the whole list of $100 million possible projects. So maybe they already have some information about that project that doesn't
Dr. Martin.
depend on the design.
They do. We met with, can't remember the
Manufacturer.
yes, Nichiwa in November with some numbers that they had as a cement, they have an aluminum product as well. That was in November. I can ask EEI if they can update those numbers. But it's not, I certainly can ask them these questions.
And I do appreciate that, you know, it hasn't been on the list but things have evolved and this phase 4 of the lease has been evolving. It evolved last meeting. If it makes sense for the district and it's possible, I think it's something worth considering at
Absolutely.
this point.
Absolutely. Jack.
Yeah, and from a process standpoint, to put the board's mind at ease, let me use the masonry project up at Danville as an example. We signed off on that, and then the scope of work, we met with the contractor, the mason contract it went out to bid. After we did all this, it went out to bid. Typically, EEI gets 3 quotes. They pick the best contractor. We met with the contractor. So that's the sequence of events that in that process. Same thing with the windows. It gets put into the lease. It gets put out to bid after the lease has been signed. Then they appoint a contractor and then we do the work. So this would be consistent. What I'm suggesting is consistent with what we've been doing all along.
Thank you. Okay, motion has been made and second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. And then in the meantime, please email Justin any questions specifically that you have about the envelope of the building or anything related to this. Okay. Any other business at this time? All right, is there any other delegates or individuals?
No, there is not.
Awesome. We unfortunately will have to go into non-public real quick.
Make a
Shauna?
motion to go into non-public under 91-A:3 subparagraph C.
A motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Second by Alyssa, can I get a roll call?
Zach Sapia?
Yeah, oh, yes, yes.
Katie
Yes.
Nissen, John Manthorn.
Yes.
Yes. Joseph Paul.
Yes.
Mary Ann Quinn.
All right, thank you. We will not be back.